show you a quick and easy chicken pot pie. Every week I ask my little picky family what they would like to eat, and this was my oldest son's request. He said, "Mom, I want your chicken pot pie." And I make several versions of chicken pot pie. This one is specifically made with 2 store-bought crusts, and that's one of the things that makes it super easy. So don't feel bad about taking a little help from the store. I debated about whether or not to even bring you this recipe because it has store-bought crust in it, but just because you use a little bit of help from the store doesn't mean that it's not delicious. And I think we kind of need to move past making working moms, or anyone else for that matter, think that everything has to be homemade in order to be good or something that you're proud of. About this point though, when I was making it, I realized that I had not boiled chicken. And so I looked in my pantry and found canned chicken. Now, if you're thinking what I was thinking at the time, this is a huge mistake, Jessie. But then I thought, no, we want to make this chicken pot pie quick, easy, and very approachable for the average working mom. And maybe not even working mom, all moms everywhere. I keep saying working mom because I am a working mom and I've worked my whole life. So recipes that are very easy and quick to put together are really important to me because I've always worked really long hours. I'm fortunate enough now to work from home, but I still have a heart for working mothers. So I digress. I realized I had canned chicken. I was incredibly worried about the flavor, so I rinsed it a lot in the sink and knew that I needed to add a fresh element to really elevate the flavor of that canned chicken. So I did add 1 onion. It's a small onion, diced very finely and cooked down. I mixed that with the vegetables and the chicken, hoping that that would help the flavor. Of course, my seasonings will also help. And I decided to move past that little moment of guilt because good food should be accessible. And if you're like me and you got up this morning and you forgot to boil your chicken or to put some chicken in the Instapot or the crock pot, there's no reason why you can't use a can of chicken. I know it gets a bad rap, but again, I am thinking about the people who need to put together a meal really quick. I also decided to start wearing my apron again. I haven't worn it in a really long time, and I just realized how much I miss it and love it. As soon as I get something on my hands, I just wiped it on my apron, and I never thought twice about it. I didn't worry about ruining my clothes. I didn't worry about going and finding a dish towel. Just swipe it across my lap, and I'm good to go. Probably need to find one that's a little more flattering, but honestly, I don't think it's our point or our job to look cute in our aprons, no matter what society tells us. This is a functioning kitchen item. This is something that's supposed to help you out, not make your life more stressful. Anyway, back to the chicken pot pie. So I make a chicken pot pie with Cheddar Bay biscuits, like the restaurant, you know the one, Red Lobster. That one is really good too. I also make a chicken pot pie with homemade pie crust. You can find that one eventually on my channel. I don't think I've recorded it yet, but it'll be coming. And then I make one with biscuit dough, so that one is a little bit different. So all of these variations, it's like the same ingredients, flour, water, milk, salt, but they come in different forms, and it really does affect the texture and the flavor of the dish. So when my son requested his favorite version, it's this 2 pie crust version from the store. And I have to say, I'm not mad about it. It's really easy to do, and I'm just glad that I know what he likes. I didn't grow up eating a lot of chicken pot pie. As a matter of fact, I don't think my family ever made chicken pot pie, and the only ones that I was familiar with are the little individual ones in the freezer section that my mom would buy every now and then just when they didn't want to cook dinner. And I wasn't a huge fan of that, but I knew that the ingredients in a chicken pot pie could be made delicious. And so often we only use poultry seasoning like one time a year around Thanksgiving, but I actually use poultry seasoning in quite a few other dishes, and this is one of them. I'm careful not to go overboard because it is a very strong flavor, but it adds a certain depth, a certain dimension to the chicken pot pie that I don't think you can get from anywhere else. And heavy cream at the end because I'm a huge heavy cream fan. It's like this little indulgence for me every single day in my coffee. And if I can sneak it into a recipe and it makes it even more delicious and creamy, then you can count me in. And even though the crusts are store-bought, you still need to roll them out to the size of your baking dish. And today I was doing a round cast iron skillet. You can see it here. So it didn't take very much for me to roll that dough out to make it fit, and then I just stretched it over to the sides. Honestly, the crust is like the favorite part of my son and my dad when he does come over to eat dinner. I just think everybody likes a little extra crust, so it's kind of thick towards the outer edge, but no one's complaining. If you can find ways to get your kids excited about being in the kitchen and helping you cook, it's a really sweet thing to do. I remember cooking with my mom in the kitchen, and she would just sit back and watch and just let me know when I was making a mistake or how I could do something better. But for the most part, she just sat back and let me learn and let me figure it out. And if I made a mistake, she wasn't angry at me, she wasn't upset with me, she didn't scold me. She just said, well, you'll know for next time, and we would try to remedy the situation in the moment, and we would eat dinner. And I would always receive praise for whatever I cooked. It was so funny, whether it was good or bad. Her and Bud were incredibly appreciative and very supportive. I like to cut the X on top of the chicken pot pie because number one, it looks cute, but also because it lets a lot of the air escape and it just helps the chicken pot pie cook more evenly. And then of course it's time to clean up, but I always enjoy cleaning as I go. I don't like to have a bunch of dirty dishes or a dirty kitchen whenever it's time to eat. And so while the chicken pot pie is baking, it's the perfect time to just straighten up and wipe up all the flour. And honestly, just to think. I like to think a lot when I'm doing work. Moments in the kitchen can be incredibly therapeutic. I guess that's the best way to say it. Yeah, therapeutic. Because you can really think about all types of things while making your family's food. You have to do it anyway, so you can really take that time, that moment for yourself. I'm just taking 2 tablespoons of butter and rubbing it across the crust. I just like the butteriness that it adds, and it just keeps it from being dry on top, and it helps it to give a really beautiful brown color when it's completely done. You'll see. So the moment of truth finally came because I needed to taste this. This was my first time to ever use canned chicken, and honestly I was worried because I have a picky family. And I was pleasantly surprised. It turned out great, and I'm excited to bring you this easy recipe.